Good afternoon to everybody here on Zoom and to those tuning in on Facebook Live. Welcome back to NGLCC LGBT Sip and Pitch Fridays. Today, we are very proud to present this program with our friends and our partners at Bristol Myers Squibb. A huge shout out and congratulations to BMS. On Wednesday, they were named as the 2020 BRG champ, the NGLCC and EY BRG challenge winners. And in fact, one of our presenters, Paul Shea, from that challenge is actually here as a judge today. So we are so proud of you, BMS, and we're so proud to present this session with you here today. My name is Sabrina Kent. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am a senior vice president at NGLCC. And I was always at NGLCC LGBT Sip and Pitch Fridays and at all of our programs. Please go ahead and find yourself on Zoom. Select the rename feature either on the participants list or by hovering over the ... on your image here on Zoom to add your pronouns in next to your name like the judges and I have done here. That helps to make sure that we are creating the most inclusive environment as possible at NGLCC LGBT Sip and Pitch Fridays and at all of our programs. So we have some incredible judges here today. Lotus Gibbs, Associate Director of Professional Development at Bristol Myers Squibb. I just learned that Lotus is new to the team as of 6 months ago, and this is her first real NGLCC event. So Lotus, we're so glad to have you here with us. We also have Paul Ashley, Director of Strategic Engagement for BMS and an NGLCC board member, chair of our Strategic Planning Committee. It is also Paul's birthday, so everybody join me in wishing Paul a very happy birthday, Paul. Fellow Scorpio over there. And then finally, Paul Shea, who is the lead for the Pride Alliance PBRG at Bristol Myers Squibb, the winning PBRG from our challenge earlier this week. We are so glad to have you with us here, Paul. Thanks for being here. So before we jump into our presentations, just a quick overview of our rules and guidelines. Each presenter will have 5 minutes to pitch. There is only one presenter from each participating company. Judges will have 10 minutes for feedback and Q&A. Our presenters are not required to have a presentation, no problem. We're here to be informal, to provide real-time feedback to our companies to help them grow and scale and really hone in on their pitches. If you are not speaking, please keep your microphone on mute. That makes sure that we can hear everything that our presenters and judges have to share with us today. Our presenters, if they have a slide, will share from the screen from their side. So if you feel like you can't see it, just bump something into the chat and we will alert them to remind them that we can't yet see their screen. Lauren does not start the timer. Lauren, are you there actually? Can you make yourself visible?
Hi, everyone.
There we go. Okay, so you can see Lauren is keeping time for Team NGLCC. She provides verbal warnings at both 1 minute and at 30 seconds remaining. She has to do this verbally. We are in the Zoom technology world. We can't have a gong or a nice little ding. It has to be Lauren's voice piping through to keep us on time as she always does. This is a judgment-free zone. We are here in the spirit of collaboration to share feedback and grow together. So with that, the most important rule of all NGLCC Sip and Pitch Fridays events is have fun. So we are going to take it away to start with Cutting Edge Elite. And after you introduce yourself, and if you have slides, after you get them up, Lauren will then start the timer.
Sweet. Hey, everybody. My name is Lucas Mendieta, and I am the president of Cutting Edge Elite. We are a national staffing agency for events with our main hub being in New York City. We've been in business for 13 years now, and we can provide anywhere from 1 staff member in a private party to up to 100 staff on a single event. And that can be anywhere from waiters, bartenders, and managers to promo models, brand ambassadors, and back of house staff. Our clients and our staff, they come from all walks of life. And our clients, they range from catering companies, event planners, production companies, to marketing agencies, personal chefs, and hotels. And the people that work with us are absolutely amazing human beings, and they represent every ethnicity and gender identity. And I would have to say that our #1 motto is that we treat our staff like family, because without them, I wouldn't have a company and be where I am today. I started this company with 10 of my friends, and now we have 7 in our office full time and over 1,100 part time employees across the country. We've staffed over 30,000 events. We are NGLCC certified. We are a Compass Group approved vendor, and 90% of our yearly portfolio is from repeat business. So now let me take you guys down memory lane. Let me see here. Let's see if I'm sharing.
There you go.
Perfect, and present. So this first gig here, this is an event that we did over for the Georgia, oh, it's loading. We'll let that happen. Slow, there we go. This event is at the Georgia Aquarium. We got that contract 3 years ago because we are a Compass Group approved vendor down in Atlanta. We've been working with them for a long, long time. Here is a Halloween party that we actually did with global brands, this last year. This is one that we did with Sky Vodka. This was for marriage equality when it passed a couple years back up in the city. This right here is actually a shot from the VIP section. This was for the Veuve Clicquot polo match that happens in the spring in New Jersey overlooking Manhattan every year. We've partnered up with Lawrence Craig Catering to provide a lot of the staff for that. This is definitely a personal favorite of mine. This was the first time I got to meet Beyonce. The staff were on the moon and back, and I would have to say to date, she is still the nicest celebrity I have ever met. This event here is for World Pride that we did just last year. That was pretty fun. We had brand ambassadors in the sections. I guess I don't even know which one it was, but it was the one that Madonna was performing at last year. This is actually with the Leslie Lohman Art Gallery. We were able to staff their gala that they had last year in the West Village. We've been fortunate enough to work with them for a couple of years now through different catering companies. And this shot was actually in Los Angeles. This was for the SAG Awards because we just got Wolfgang Puck as a contract in the beginning of this year before COVID hit and all that lovely old madness. And I just had to take a selfie because I was literally under a roof with every celebrity known to man, and I was just like a kid. I was so happy. And then, of course, we also can provide eye candy. If you ever want a shirtless male gentleman with a logo painted on their chest, we can make that happen as well. But then COVID hit and it changed everything. So all of our event business literally went right out the window. So we had to change gears very quickly. So we started to provide staff as essential workers. So we partnered with Great Performances Catering and the New York City Department of Aging, and we had staff helping to box food every day out of a kitchen, and other ones were delivering it to elders. And then we also had another client called Consortium. They're an event space where we had staff there every single day to help produce PPE that was getting distributed to different businesses and hospitals in need. And events, they are slowly coming back, but clients are getting very creative. So even though catering companies and event planners aren't really hosting too much indoors, we have staffed a few virtual events, as well as brand ambassadors for various activations and even the military. So we recently got a contract with the military that we have staff that are feeding the troops in Tomah, Wisconsin. And that started about a month and a half ago, and that's a year-long contract. We also just did an event, a virtual event for YSL. It was a virtual Zoom party. They needed staff, like model staff, to be kind of like the life of the party and help liven it up. And then last month we did an activation. This is with Cartier. It was a national campaign where they had staff hand deliver.
1 minute.
Oh yeah, they were hand delivering these artisanal baskets and Cartier gifts to people around the country. And they're so happy that they're actually contracting us again to do the same thing in December. And then this is a private event that we did, a wedding in someone's backyard where everybody had to get masked up, gloved up, and made it happen as flawlessly as possible. So given the circumstances right now, our ideal clients are people in marketing, promotional companies, because they're coming up with creative ways to elevate
30 seconds.
their brands, and they need a company like ours to help execute their vision. We started in 2008 when the market crashed, so we are no stranger to what's going on right now, except for we have a little bit more experience under our belts. So now we just have to write it out and get to the other side. Again, my name is Lucas, and the company is Cutting Edge Elite. Thank you for your time.
Lucas, wow. I don't think I know anybody who can say the first time I met Beyonce. So that's what stuck out for me in all of this.
Yeah,
But that was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. It was great that you sort of showed us the before and after and how you've, the word of the year, how you've pivoted to adjust to the times. So Paul, as our board member and as our birthday boy, why don't you start with any feedback here for Lucas? Oh, sorry, Paul Ashley. You're on mute.
Unmute. Okay, can you hear me now?
yes.
Great. So thank you. What a great presentation. And my first, when you started, my first wonder was, wow, how would you really pivot given this time? But it sounded like you've pivoted fine. If you look at where do you want to go? So post-COVID world, the end of 2021, hopefully we get back to some sense of normalcy. It looks like you've been growing over the time, over the past several years. How big do you want to be? And what kind of, help and advice do you need to kind of help get there? What's holding you back from reaching your fullest potential post-COVID?
Definitely the goal is to be national on a much higher scale because we started to go national about 2 years ago. So we really started to hit it in the beginning of this year. So even when COVID hit, when April 1st came, we were still ahead year to date with us losing all of our events for March and April. That's how well we were doing and growing. My business partner and I, we actually took this course through Goldman Sachs called 10,000 Businesses last summer. And they told us if we applied everything that we've learned there, they said on average about 70 to 80% of the businesses grow 60 to 70% in their sales about 18 months after the course. But then COVID hit. So now we're just kind of like taking a good old backseat. So I hope that kind of answered the question a little bit.
No, it did. It did. It sounds like you have a winning formula. And my advice would be just kind of stick to it. And once again, we'll be post this again, this world COVID. So thank you.
Of course.
Thanks so much for that, Paul. All right. Let's go over to you, Lotus.
Lucas, thank you so much, especially the eye candy. I can never get enough of that, okay? Just give me shirtless men all day long. Fabulous job. Can I tell you, I really liked your story. I liked how you wove this story from the beginning and how you grew to this really successful place. And you have this wonderful, diverse group of staff and even events. I felt like I needed you for a party, and you're really enthusiastic, and I think that really carries over. And even how you pivoted during COVID to this post-pandemic, or I don't even want to call this upside down world now, but even what you're doing now. And the only thing I was really curious about is how are you actually marketing all of this? Do you have a social media site? Or do you have TikToks?
No.
Or anything like that out there? I was just curious about it because I think
everything was word of mouth, and we actually started to build and hired a marketing department in the beginning of this year, and that went out the window. But like up until like this year, everything was literally just word of mouth, just hustling, going to networking events, showing on site. A big key that really helped out for us is that everybody in our office, we have to work the events. We have to be a part of it because that's the only way that we're really going to get to know our clients' logistics and also really get to earn our clients, our staff's respect. We want them to know that we're going to jump in the trenches with you and that you're not in this alone. And through that, it's just circulated. People just started referring us to more people and more clients, and then it just kind of went from there. So I like literally applied my street smarts because I didn't go to college. I was actually homeless for a couple years.
Wow, I would have never guessed that. And honestly, that gave you that edge on how to overcome, all these different odds. So I can see it. And I honestly am saying, where's this Instagram? What's his website? That's really all I'm looking for. Like, how do I find this, so I can tell people about it and even look at it for myself. I'm like, this is amazing. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
And, it's great to see we've got another 10,000 Small Businesses alum here too. And a couple weeks ago, our presenting partner for Sip and Pitch was Goldman, and they focused directly on the 10,000 Small Business program. So that's great. Paul Shea, any final thoughts here for Lucas?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say, first of all, I loved it. I mean, it was such a great pitch. It was so clear. I know exactly what the business was, what you're doing, how you provide value to your clients. So I love it. I love the business model too. And I actually think I might coincidentally know a personal friend who might be one of your employees or one of your part-timers based on his full-time job was an opera singer, but he would do work like we were describing as like side gigs to help, increase his income. So I have some familiarity, I think. And I think it's amazing how you've pivoted, during the time of COVID. I mean, that's just super creative, and you're not only doing good for your business, you're doing good for the, for the society in the process. I was thinking as I was like watching and listening to what you were saying, I think you could even talk more in your pitch about, you've talked a lot about like the value you provide, the win for the clients. I think you could even sell a little bit more about the value you're providing to your employees too, because you really are enabling lots of people to benefit even more. You're enabling them to fill in some of their free time, so to speak, their downtime from perhaps their day jobs or their other type of gig work, perhaps. To even make more money and support their own economic, income and viability. So I think you could even kind of play up that a little bit in your pitch as well. And I wonder in this COVID world we're living in now, where you are, you've been, we've all been forced to rethink, and I wonder if there's a way for you to find some of these, like a lot of technology vendors now are focused on enabling virtual meetings and events. But from the technology standpoint, they have the virtual booth system and the virtual, lobby and the virtual, theater. I wonder if you could find companies that specialize in that and partner with them to be their kind of, their partner in terms of feet on the street at the event to help the event, like keep it flowing, keep it moving. I was just at one of these virtual career fairs today. I won't name the group that did it, but it wasn't a great experience, to be honest, because I don't know that the attendees like knew what to do to navigate the booths and to engage with folks, the companies that showed up. And I wonder if there's a role a company like yours can play to provide, some additional manpower and women power and person power to make those virtual events more successful even.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely have done things like that, and people have hired us specifically to bring that personality and that power to really engage and help the consumer from that end. So they're not kind of like,
right,
what's going on.
Exactly, because the technology alone isn't enough to make it a good experience for folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really awkward if you're in a Zoom meeting. It's like 15 seconds of silence, and everyone's looking at each other.
Right. No, but I thought it was outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Fantastic job. And thanks for starting us off with some great energy today. And obviously I need you to help with my wedding one day, whenever that'll be. There's no wedding on the books. I'm just putting that out. The picture was beautiful. So thank you so much.
I want to jump in with one quick thing for the judges and for the corporate friends on the line to know too. Among the many great things about Lucas's companies, you heard that there's a differentiator there too. And I think Lucas would be great for you to be adding to your capability deck and things like that is your full service in the catering and events industry. Someone like Paul wants to throw a Fierce Pride event at BMS headquarters. He has to hire the caterer and the staffer and the logistics and the DJ. You do all that and you synergize that so that there's one point of contact. And having produced enough events for us, that's hell. And you do that really well, synergizing all of that into one person. And your team is trained. You don't send people who are gonna, pee on the floor when you send them to somebody's corporate headquarters. To borrow a phrase from you. You teach them how to behave, you give them tools, you give them a uniformed look, you taught me how to box a table 15 years ago and I still know how to do it. So a big shout out to you and your commitment to helping others. I full disclosure, everyone on the line, when Lucas was talking about like 5 friends around a coffee table 10 years ago, I was there. I was one of them in his Brooklyn apartment. And to watch what you've done since and to make as the amount of particularly young artists and actors in New York that you've given side gig work to that has allowed them to pay their bills and stay afloat through particularly really tough times like this is is commendable and is the kind of thing that puts you in good standing with partners, because they see that you're more than just a CEO, you're a human being.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Jonathan. And Lucas, fantastic job. Thanks so much for being here and being a part of Sip and Pitch.
Of course, my pleasure.
All right, we're going to turn it over to Braxton at Stealth Bros & Co. Braxton, take it away.
What's going on, everybody? Okay, I have a presentation here for you all. Here we go. Okay. All right, so my name is Braxton Fleming. I'm the founder and owner of a company called Stealth Bros & Co. We are a luxury dopp kit supply company that provides travel and at-home storage for your hormone replacement therapy or other medical necessities. This business was created out of my own personal need as a trans man. It was built on the needs of the transgender community. And as I was going through my transition, I realized that I didn't have anywhere to hold my hormone replacement therapy needs. And I was also seeing that other individuals didn't have that either. So I went to the store, tried to find something. There wasn't anything specific for us. So that's when I created this company, and it has tiered into other communities such as diabetic communities, IVF communities, and other injectable communities. But not only that, I created because I needed a way to help fund my own top surgery. Outside of being a nurse full-time, I wanted to do something that could give back to my community. And not only did I create this business that is helping them, but I wanted to give back to them. So annually, we created something called a Stealth Bros Support Fund, where we help transgender individuals in need with their surgery expenses or transitional needs yearly, which has been a beautiful thing. And our main mission here is just to create a safe, neat, and discreet place, and for our clients just to feel non-discriminated against. So our first product is our Junior Dopp, which basically is a week-to-week Dopp kit that you can hold all your syringes and your needles. This Dopp kit is organized to the T, literally, and it's great for individuals who have a really hard time taking their injection. You may not be ready while you're at home. We still have regular lives just like everybody else. So this is a great product that you can grab off your dresser, and nobody knows exactly what it is. So that's the best part about it, is that you can go and take it when you're ready to, so you're not under that pressure that injectables communities do suffer from. Then we also have our original Dopp, which is our main product, which is our second main product, which holds the bulk supply of your syringes, your alcohol pads, your Band-Aid box, whatever you need, personal items that you just don't want to throw in your drawer. You want to keep it discreet. If you're traveling, you want to be able to bring it with you. These are things that transgender individuals need on a day-to-day basis. Then our last product is our Stealth Sharp Shuttles, which is a sharps container that will neatly hold 20 used needle tips. So after you're done injection, if you're out, if you're at a family's house, wherever you may be, you can have this sharps container with you instead of having that huge orange container on your dresser or laundry bin, whatever people are putting it in, which, we want to make it safe for our clients, and we want to make it neat and discreet. That's our whole mission. So that's what these shuttles do for you. And you can slide this right inside the Junior Dopp, and it fits perfectly along with your other medical needs. And then lastly, I have a video here that I wanted to share with you guys. So this just showcases our main Junior Dopp and how organized our product is. It has a specific compartment for each item so that you can neatly have everything lined up for when you're ready to take your injection. Also, each one of our products comes with a non-woven bag you see to the left, which can also hold personal items to keep them lint-free. And it just gives a luxury feel to the client that orders from us. And that's it.
Excellent. Sabs, you're on mute.
I'm on mute. Okay, I had to run to put my hoodie on. That's why I turned my video off. Braxton, thank you so much. And of course, here's the Stealth Bros bag right here with the beautiful interior. This is the original. Brax, awesome job. You know that we're huge fans of Stealth Bros, Brax was also in our first cohort of the NGLCC Accelerate program this year. He's now in mentorship. He's really taken advantage of everything and being a part of NGLCC and the NGLCC community. So Brax, great job. I love how you pay it forward to other LGBT business owners as well. My partner is a trans business owner, takes all the photos for Stealth Bros. So Brax is really intentional about keeping it in the family, and we love that. So Lotus, let's start with you. Any feedback here for Braxton?
Sir, you are amazing. And you actually just introduced me to a topic that I never gave much thought to. And I have to thank you for broadening my horizon on that. I really loved how you were able to innovate. You tied it into a personal story. You said, I had a need and I can't find it out there, so I'm going to just build it myself. And not only did you build it to meet your need, you made it so that it covers more than one service, which I think is fabulous because you're thinking of a broader audience, which really goes to show just how much you care, not only about your community, but all these other communities. I was so impressed with it that I was trying to figure out how can I get one, and do they have it in the color? Can I get a customized one? Can I get my initials on it? I love that bag because I know, me and my girlfriends, when we travel, we all have that bag where we try to act like we're natural beauties, but it's our makeup and we don't want anyone to know.
Yeah.
And we need to take it into the office. We're a little toothbrush, our little overnight bag. I'm sitting there thinking, this is such a great idea. I love how you pay it forward. I'm such a fan of people paying it forward. We can't become successful and not bring other people along. So I really want to commend you on expanding it into providing services and networks to a broader audience. I love how discreet it is. Again, I just really think that's such a portable kit, and it actually looks really cool. I don't need it, but I feel like I need it. The stick, I just want an injection of something because that little black case is just so cool, and I don't know why I want it. I just feel like I need it.
You do need
I know, right? I'm like, I'm just going to carry one around because I want to see how many people will ask me what's in it, just so I can say none of your business.
Yeah.
I do love the portability, and you're absolutely right. Just because we have a need does not mean that we don't care about fashion or something looking really polished. And you have designed a product that is very polished, neat, easy to carry, and you have a wonderful story. I love that backstory. And if anything, my biggest suggestion is to tie that in even more and share some of the success stories of your customer base.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Lotus. I have to agree. I use one of the small ones to organize all my makeup brushes. I use one of the big ones to put all the makeup in there. I use another one to put my art supplies, my pens, my rulers. And then of course my partner uses it for all his tea needs. We are huge Stealth Bros fans in this house. So I agree. It's like it's really translatable for so many different things and nobody needs to know. Plus it looks all cute and organized in your suitcase instead of having 1,000 different bags in there, which I am a chronic overpacker. So, all right, Paul, Ashley, any thoughts here for Braxton?
So, yeah. So first of all, I'm a huge fan. I heard about this, I think it was at the NGLCC board retreat. And I was a huge fan then. And I started so that's why I was so happy, Kismet, that you're here today. Because I was like, how can we do that? Because so my comments and questions are thus, because I just don't want to fangirl the whole time. This is primarily, I think your business model is business to consumer.
Yes.
So my question is, how are you going to increase that? Because you had good plans in terms of the trans community and other injectables, but there's a lot of people who have various medical needs. So even a stealth way to do pills, especially in the HIV community, in the mental health community, taking a number of pills. So I could see that being a way to expand, because I would love a pill sorter, that was really cute and you sell and all that kind of stuff. Because I use that when I travel for various things. So that's one thing. And then the business to business. So how do you sell to companies like BMS? And a way I think you can do that is we have a program called Power to Impact. And we do a lot of things with various communities. Like we did an event at the LA LGBT Center. We did an event at William Way. We did an event in Atlanta where we worked with the homeless community. And we're always giving out kits of something. And one idea that I had would be, we would love the idea that says, if I bought a BMS kit that we would then give away one of our Power Impact, for every kit that I buy, a kit would then be donated to one of your trans brothers and sisters for the adopt kit. Like, we would love to do something like that. And I'm sure we're not the only ones. So start to think about how you branded BMS and how it can be like really, because once again, when we went to the, William Way in LA, we want to give, because some of these kids are homeless or just exiting homeless. We want to give them, adopt kit full of stuff. So a way to pre-pack it with stuff, brand it, but then sell it to us to say, for everyone, we also donate one. So that's my comment, but I'm a big fan, huge fan.
Yes, amen to that. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I'm interested in that. So
Great.
Thanks so much, Paul. Paul Shea, anything you'd like to add here?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, good. So no, congratulations, Brex. This was really awesome. Similar to some of the other comments, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And you certainly did that here in this case with this awesome product. And your pitch is awesome. It's perfect. It's very clear what the need is. You're filling in the market, the value you're providing to your customers. And I just have to say, like, the product itself, it looks great. I love the logo. I love the look and feel of the product itself and the overall branding. So you should be super proud of what you've created. I love the name and the branding, that you've come up with for the original product you created for your original target market. I'm, as someone who works at a company where we pride ourselves in enabling everyone to bring their full authentic selves to the workplace and be themselves. I'm loath to say to anyone, like, change something from your original authentic, self and vision. I'll ask a question that is, would you consider talking to some of your customers that for your products that you're targeting outside the transgender market, would you consider talking to some of your customers and seeing how the name resonates with them? And maybe potentially keeping that name, I would say keep that name for your original target market, but would you be open to other brand names, perhaps for some of your other products that are that are targeted to other customers? And the reason I say that is I wonder if, in particular, the word bros could be loaded for some people.
Correct. It's funny because I actually been a lot of my customer base obviously is a transgender community, and it's trans masculine individuals. And I really wanted this product not just for trans men, but for trans women as well. So I reached out to a numerous amount of trans women and said, how do you feel about this product? How do you feel about the name? And the thing was that they absolutely loved it. And then they said, well, I'm a little skeptical about the bros part. Some women weren't too hard about it. But what I told them was this: you buy a Louis Vuitton bag that has Louis on it. You buy a Michael Kors bag that has Michael on it. Okay, so you can grow to love this. And not only are we stealth, it's stealth majorly because we want to make sure that your products are stealth. And then it's smaller in Bros & Co because brotherhood is the foundation what this business is built on, and company that we keep, which is the transgender women or cis diabetics or, cis IVF women. It doesn't matter. It's the company that we keep. So I'm really not open to changing the brand name, but co-branding with other brands to possibly make other people feel better. I think I would be open to that. But overall, I think it's all about your perspective. And I think that if you can have a man's name on all your bags, I don't think you'll mind having bros on there either.
Thanks, Braxton. Thank you, Paul, for that. All right. Thank you, Brax. We're going to turn it over to our third presenter of round one. We are turning it over to Life Coach Radio Networks and Russ Terry.
Hey, Sabrina, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. I am going to start sharing my screen. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor to go after Lucas and Brex. You guys are both awesome. I look forward to connecting with you afterward. All right. So happy National Gratitude Month. My name's Russ Terry, and I am the grateful guy. And I can't wait to talk to you today for 5 minutes or more about gratitude. All right. So 2,896. What's that number, you ask? That's the number of days in a row I have come up with a different expression of gratitude. I'll celebrate my 8-year anniversary of being on this path of being grateful on December 10th. And these almost 2,900 straight days have been such an incredible journey. And I'm here to share my journey of gratitude with the masses. I have a book series on gratitude. My first book, My Gratitude Journal, came out in 2014. It's the first year of my path of being grateful. So it's literally the first 365 entries. There are more than 200 lessons learned in the book. It was an amazing experience writing that. And then my second book, Our Gratitude Mission, 15 people, not just from here in the US, but around the world, did what I did, documented gratitude every day for a year. And then each of them wrote a chapter in the book about how this year of being grateful positively changed their life. And then my third book, Our Gratitude Mission 2, same concept, 8 people, a year of gratitude, all this inspiration, everything you would want and more from gratitude. So why is gratitude important? So as all of you know, 2020 has been awful between COVID, racism, the election. Your employees at BMS are likely struggling. People are less happy and more stressed than ever. And newsflash, gratitude can help people shift their energy and mindset. So you have the power to make your employees happier at work, happier at home. And I know you're a for-profit company and metrics are important. So the ROI on making your employees happier by exposing them to gratitude in a more robust way is infinite. I don't know about you, but I like an infinite ROI. That's the way that things are really awesome. So how has gratitude helped me? In countless ways. I could go on and on, but here's one example. So this year, my 77-year-old mom, who I'm here with today, has had a lot of health challenges, and she lives in suburban Philadelphia. I live in New York, so 2 hours away. I'm her primary caregiver. So we do weekly gratitude lists separately, and then we come together to read our 7 entries to each other. And guess what happens? When you do gratitude as a shared activity, you realize things that you didn't even realize you were grateful for. She has something on her list that I didn't think of. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can be grateful for that too. So what are the lessons learned here? Number 1, obviously, be grateful. Number 2, share gratitude with the people you love. And 3, they'll probably be inspired to do the same, which is really powerful. So I'm very grateful to have an it factor, and I'm not shy about saying that. I meet so many people, and it's so exciting to me that I meet people once or have a brief interaction with them, and they tell me that I've helped to change their life because of this message of gratitude. So take Julie. We met in 7th grade. I haven't even seen her since we graduated high school in 1989.
1 minute.
Her son has Down syndrome. She says, Russ is a game changer. He's inspired me to lead with gratitude in life and at work. Alicia just went through a painful breakup. Russ is my gratitude guru. He's gently yet profoundly helped me change my life. Jen, whose CEO was so inspired, he bought 50 books, 1 for each employee. After the seminar with Russ, I had a clear path to expressing gratitude and finding my true self. Here are some of the places I've spoken on this already: NASA, L'Oreal, the FBI, FedEx, United. So here's my call to action for the 3 of you at BMS and everybody on this today. I believe with all my heart that every company could and should have a gratitude expert speak to its employees. And I'd love for that someone to be me. Thank you. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Russ. And I am grateful for the positive energy and the smile that you brought to my face today. We have Unity Week coming up next week. It has been a very long week, but I am grateful for the energy that you brought to this space. So thank you so much.
You're
Paul
welcome. My
Shea,
pleasure.
yeah. Paul Shea, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Russ. Well, I have to say, you know, even before you started and we were all chatting before the program started, I noticed your T-shirt right off the bat, you know, put a smile on my face, and your overall just general energy and positivity is infectious, and the way you present yourself and your product. So, you know, kudos to you for that, because in these challenging times, we can all use that for sure. And your message resonates. It's very powerful. You know, it's very simple in a good way, and clear. And it's something, you know, we all frankly need more of at any time in the world in our lives. But, you know, especially right now, like you said, you're hitting the nail, you know, straight on the head there. You know, I guess a question that came to mind is, you know, the space you're in is kind of crowded, you know, in terms of, you know, motivational speakers and books on topics like this. How have you thought about kind of breaking through the noise and how you market yourself?
Yeah, so this year 9 as an entrepreneur, has been my busiest year by far. And last year was my busiest year by far. And the year before that was my busiest year by far. So a lot of my messaging is being politely assertive about what my message is. And you use the word infectious to describe me. I'm really grateful that I come off as infectious. So people have a brief interaction with me, and then they want to hire me to coach them, or they want to hire me to come speak to their company. So I am grateful to have a lot of things happening, but obviously when this opportunity presented itself, I wanted to jump at it, because even though I've spoken to Celgene employees, maybe about 13 months ago, I haven't yet spoken at BMS. So I would love to get in there. I live in Jersey. Obviously, we do it remotely, but I'm always on the lookout for more coaching clients, more speaking engagements, etc.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. My middle name's Paul, and there are 2 Pauls here.
Oh,
I
wow.
love it.
Cool.
Energy attracts like energy.
I love that, Russ. And, you know, this is a whole different side to your business and to what the services you provide that I haven't like fully seen yet. Russ did an amazing webinar for our Webinar Wednesdays series, probably the most well-attended and replayed webinar that we've had, which was maximizing LinkedIn to use it to your highest potential. So everybody go check out the NGLCC YouTube page, watch that so you can get a flavor for some of the content that Russ can put out there. And of course, do it all with a smile, which is the best part. So Paul, Ashley, let's turn to you for any comments here to Russ.
Oh, Paul, we can't hear you.
You, Paul.
Oh,
No.
he's unmuted.
We lost you.
Oh, okay. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
I had my
Better.
So great presentation. I had the same question as Paul as to how do you differentiate yourself? You know, the good thing is you're actually speaking to the right person. So for the 500 procurement organization globally, I'm the one that hires people like you. And we actually just finished just this week a 2-day leadership retreat where we really talked about, you know, how do we thrive through challenging times in this COVID world. And we had somebody from the Neuro Leadership Institute come, and it really evoked some pretty emotional discussions. Lotus was a part of it, and she, you know, it really was a good time and really evoked emotionally. You know, Sabrina just talked about LinkedIn. You didn't have that as a part of your pitch, because one of the things, you know, gratitude is a great topic, but, you know, that only would be once in a blue moon kind of topic. But there's practical topics, like we talked about LinkedIn, and we could link you to some of our PBRGs. So you definitely want to talk about other things that you and your company do. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of your marketing is by word of mouth. And do you, kind of like before, do you have kind of a marketing plan, and how do you market?
Yeah, so it's funny. I had in my notes to mention that gratitude is one of just 33 topics that I speak on. And in the prior sip and pitches, they said no more than 7 slides. So I was like, but I want to mention my other topics. So that's great advice. Thank you. I can redo this deck to make sure that my other topics are one of the 7 slides because, like Sabrina and you both said, the LinkedIn workshop is probably the most popular one that I do. That's the one that I did for the Celgene global conference in DC last year. But in terms of marketing myself, I would say LinkedIn, absolutely. Often people who come to one of my speaking engagements will then want to hire me to come to their organization or their department. I was at PwC for 12 and a half years, so I still get a lot of business from that. And I'm politely assertive in promoting myself. So when I meet someone, we start talking, and then I say, well, I could come speak to your company on this or on that. So I'm grateful to have a booming business, but as you can imagine, I'm always looking for more.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. All right, Lotus, any final thoughts here for Russ?
So Russ, I am grateful to have made your acquaintance today. So I'm hoping I'm using the word of the day. This is actually really a timely topic. And, as Paul had mentioned, he did a session this week and he inspired me so much that I actually shared a story that I never tell anybody, not even my tribe, because I've always felt like I had to carry this burden by myself out of shame, guilt, and failure as a parent. So I said it, and it was the weirdest thing for me, but I felt all this pressure come up off of me. So I'm a big fan of people doing self-care and really leaning into being grateful and just being happy to wake up. And I'm sitting there as you're doing the presentation. I'm like, did he do a TED talk? Because he even had a call for action at the end, which I thought was I think that's great. I love that because that's always my first thing. Well, where can I get more information about whatever it is you're talking about? And what actually asked me, what I started questioning is, I think this is great. And I heard what both of the Pauls asked, about your marketing. But as a Black woman, all I was sitting here thinking is, does any of this apply to my community as a Black person? Because, I'll be frank, I think I love this. And I'm always a fan of listening to a lot of people, but I know there's other people who say, well, that just sounds like more white people talk and more white people problems. That doesn't affect me. So how diverse is your audience? And do you want a diverse audience? And do you have those stories to talk about? It fits everyone. And I see the book, so clearly you've answered that.
Yes.
question.
So Lotus, you'll be happy to know that of the 15 authors in our gratitude mission, 6 are Black women. So 40% of the authors
sold.
are not just Black, but Black women. And
I'm sold. Paul should have had this book delivered to me at the end of this week's session. Like everyone on that call should have had that. So Paul, I need you to get on your A game and get us some books. I need some actual tangible stuff to read. Love it, Russ. I actually want to even try to look and see if I can get this book for my son, because I think this is just another opportunity to help him deal with his stress. So thank you for all of this.
Well, you're welcome, Lotus. That warms my heart. Diversity is something that, and anti-racism and especially anti-Black racism are all things that are really important to me. And I've been doing a lot more work in that space this year, as you can imagine. So we are 100% like-minded. And I assure you with all of my being that I am on a mission. I'm going to connect with you on LinkedIn after this, and you're going to see that my headline is Coach and Motivational Speaker on a mission to eradicate racism and increase diversity.
Love it. Thank you so much, Russ. Thanks for bringing all your amazing energy to Sip and Pitch today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Grateful to you and everybody else.
We're glad to have you here. All right, judges, we have wrapped up with round 1. As you can see, time really does fly by quickly here at Sip and Pitch Fridays. Lotus, any thoughts as you're thinking about this first round and as we go into round 2? Any sentiments that you're taking away with you besides gratitude?
Honestly, I am so inspired and in awe of everything that everyone's presented. This is my first time, so I really wasn't sure what to expect or even what could I do? And am I going to live up to what everyone think or what everyone else is doing? But honestly, I love it. And I just want to figure out how to do this more. And I want to commend everyone who presented today because I am really impressed and feel really good about humanity, especially since things have been so hard. And I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm and their authenticity that they brought today. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for that, Lotus. We're so glad to have you here for your first of many Sip and Pitch programs. Paul, Ashley, what about you?
Let me make sure. Yeah, I'm unmuted. So good. This was amazing. To commend all three. Some of you I've heard about, some of you I hadn't. One of the things this inspires folks like me to do is find out how can we plug you in to either myself or my network. So please make sure you reach out to me, LinkedIn, through NGLCC. They can find you because we want to pay this forward and find out where we can plug you guys in.
Thank you so much, Paul. Paul Shea, any thoughts here as we close out round one?
Well, I just have to say, this is my first time as well, and I'm so blown away. I'm so inspired by all three of you. I mean, you're all entrepreneurs. You're all you all created your own amazing businesses. Part of me sitting here thinking too, God bless America. Like this kind of thing can't happen everywhere, frankly. And so it's just been super inspiring hearing your stories, your businesses, how you started them, and where you're taking them. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much for that, Paul. Yeah, I think that the motto of the week is fair, free, and open to all. That's the mission anyway. So we'll see what happens here. But thank you so much, Paul, for your sentiments and being a part of this. All right, we are about to move into round two. Between now and then, we're going to take a little break and you'll join us back a few minutes past the hour. So stretch. We're getting close to the sipping portion. Do not leave because we've got an awesome community and conversation coming up as we think about NBIC Unity Week, which is just up ahead. Jonathan will drop in the link to Unity Week. BMS is actually one of our presenting sponsors for the week. So we hope that you will be able to join us next week for a week of free programming between the National Business Inclusion Consortium organizations, spirited by NGLCC and our colleagues at WeBank and our other diverse chamber partners. So make sure you take a look at NBIC Unity Week programming during this quick break. We will be back a few minutes past the hour to start round two. Thanks, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back to NGLCC LGBT Sip and Pitch Fridays. We are so proud to present today's program with our friends at Bristol Myers Squibb. We had an amazing round one with 3 incredible companies presenting. We had Cutting Edge Elite NYC. We had Stealth Bros and Co. and Russ Terry with Life Coach Radio Networks, which is some phenomenal pitches and presentations. Our judges, I think it's safe to say, were pretty wowed. So no pressure to the presenters coming up here in round 2. We're all here in the spirit of fun and collaboration. For those who have just joined, my name is Sabrina Kent. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am a senior vice president at NGLCC. Speaking of pronouns, if you did just join, please make sure that you find your name on the participant list here on Zoom or by hovering over your image at the top bar, selecting the rename feature and adding your pronouns into your name on Zoom as I've done here. That helps us create a warm and inclusive, welcoming environment for all of our participants here on NGLCC LGBT Sip and Pitch Fridays. We have our incredible panel of judges today. Lotus Gibbs, Associate Director of Professional Development at BMS. She is an absolute joy. So if you have just joined, you are in for a treat. And then we have our amazing board member for NGLCC, Paul Ashley, Director of Strategic Engagement at BMS. And then finally, Paul Shea, the lead for BMS's Pride Alliance PBRG, which just won our BRG Challenge on Wednesday. So I think Paul is still riding the high and excitement of that on behalf of all of his colleagues at BMS. And I know Sundri, his partner in crime for that presentation, is here on the line and has been instrumental in helping to put today's event together. So Sundri, thank you for all of your support as well. Before we jump into our presentations for round 2, we're going to run through the rules and guidelines one more time for anyone that's just joined us. Each company is going to have 5 minutes to pitch. Lauren, are you there?
Hi, everyone.
Oh, there you go. Lauren is keeping time for us on behalf of Team NGLCC. She's going to make sure that everybody's got their 5 minutes to present, and there will only be one presenter from each participating company. Our judges will have 10 minutes for feedback and Q&A, and no presentation, no problem is the motto at Sip and Pitch Fridays. We are here to provide real-time feedback, whether formal or informal, to help our companies learn, grow, and scale. Remember that if you are not speaking, please mute your microphone. That allows us to make sure we can hear everything our presenters and judges have to say. Lauren is going to give verbal warnings at both 1 minute and at 30 seconds remaining. We're in a Zoom world. Ding sounds don't work, gongs don't work, so just bear with us. Lauren is going to slightly interrupt you. She'll do her best not to, but that's how she keeps us on time. Remember, this is a judgment-free zone. We are here in the spirit of collaboration, and as always, most importantly, we are here to have fun. So with that, we are going to take it away with our first presenter of round one, Zaylor Stout and Associates. Take it away, Z.
Thank you so much, judges, for participating today. My name is Zaylor Stout of Zaylor Stout and Associates. I'm the founder of this incredibly boutique employment law firm with locations in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as well as Pasadena, California. How I like to describe our practice is as follows. We have two wings. We have the proactive wing, and then we have the reactive wing. The reactive wing, we represent our clients at the traditional legal standpoint. So that's in regards to employment matters. So that will be sexual harassment, discrimination, wrongful termination, and wage and hour issues. Whether you are a client that receives a demand letter or receives, formal notification from the court that there's a legal action that's being filed against your organization, we can represent you throughout that entire process, whether it goes to mediation, arbitration, or litigation in state or federal court. Now, in that sense, we're your traditional law firm. The proactive aspect is what really sets us apart. Prior to becoming an attorney, I actually served as an outsourced HR consultant for 10 years to roughly 350 companies nationally. And in that capacity, I provided advice and guidance to entry-level managers all the way up to individuals in senior management, conducted thousands and thousands of unemployment hearings, wage and hour disputes with state and federal agencies, as well as tons of manager supervisor training, as well as workplace investigations. So where we found our sweet spot with larger organizations is in regard to this context, because our firm actually has 3 certifications: LGBT certified, minority certified, as well as disabled on certified. So for our larger clients that already have existing relationships with larger law firms, how they like using our firm is in regards to workplace investigations. So let's say there's a complaint in regards to sexual harassment or disability discrimination in the workplace against a member of the management team. It will be, you don't want there to be any type of impression of any bias if HR were to conduct this investigation, since they work with HR and members of the management team on a daily basis. So this would be an ideal situation to get an outside firm to come in and do that investigation, especially with our certifications, because we're able to provide that necessary personal connection with the complaining party, so that they know that we're there to look out for the best interests of the employee under those circumstances, and to ensure that their rights aren't being violated, and to be independent arbiters in regards to what's going on in the workplace. As well, with the manager and supervisor training, we've conducted thousands of training seminars, especially in areas of sexual harassment prevention, as well as bias in the workplace. So these are the areas where we feel as though we really differentiate ourselves from others, given the HR experience and background that we bring to the table. So with that, I'd like to open things up for questions for anybody that has any.
Thank you so much, Z. We're so glad to have you here with us for Sip and Pitch Fridays. Paul Ashley, birthday boy, let's start with you.
Hey, Zaylor, good to see you. So in full disclosure, we know Zaylor is a friend to Team BMS. And you didn't even talk about your great book, Gay in 50 States. So I thought we were going to talk about some of that as well. But I love hearing about the work that your law firm does. And full disclosure, when in another life, when I worked for another pharmaceutical company, from a procurement perspective, I own legal. So I actually know a little bit about this space. So a couple of questions. Who do you sell to? Or who do you want to sell to? Is it the general counsel in the corporate law department? Is it HR? Or is it the big law firms? Because if you look at BMS, we have we probably deal with hundreds of law firms in the local markets, in the local states. But from a corporate perspective, I think I know dangerous enough. I think we deal with 40 big law firms. so
Yeah.
that we have a preferred supplier program. So given that construct, where should I then introduce you? What would be my easiest route?
Well, it depends on the wing. So if we're looking at the proactive wing, that would likely be human resources, since human resources would be dealing with internal workplace investigations that have not gotten to the litigation sphere yet. If we're looking at the reactive wing, then it would be your internal legal department, or any of your tier one suppliers who want to maintain and hold the litigation piece, but then want to make sure that they're doing their due diligence to ensure that they're mitigating any type of risk. And so they can have, and so my firm has been hired by other law firms to do workplace investigations that haven't gotten to the point where there's litigation, but that there's already oh, I set my timer. I guess I was early. And so, so those would be, so the three that you've outlined are the best three.
Yep, and the one thing you want to think about, because there aren't, especially in the big law firm space, any minority law firms at all, how do you set up your kind of business case and business proposition where it's easy and the big law firms trust you enough that says, I'm going to carve out this piece of business, and then you go in, if the law firm comes in to pitch and says, I already have a relationship with Zalar, I'm going to give his firm 10% of, because they'll represent in these areas, and then I get that as a tier one. That then helps me because I have a big diversity goal that I'm chasing now for diverse Fed. So just a thought.
No, this is definitely helpful. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Paul.
Great. Thanks, Ada.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Z. Lotus, any thoughts here for Z?
Well, Zaylor, thank you so much for sharing your story about your firm. I really appreciate it. My ex-husband is an attorney and they have a firm, and they kind of they're probably more in the proactive space.
Okay.
And so when you were talking about it, I like everything you said. Obviously, this is more of a serious topic because people have to have a real legal need for your services and that's a unique space. And all I could think about with this was, with your proactive side, how are you paying it forward in that community especially during COVID times with all of and I don't know if you even mentioned it or not, I might have forgotten it, but I'm thinking about all the people who have lost their businesses. Over 60% of minority owned businesses are never coming back because of the inability to negotiate, new leases and so forth. And some of them I think some of them are being scammed and being forced to adhere to something that actually is not true. But also I'm thinking about all the people of color and the low income areas of people who are losing their houses because they don't understand the foreclosure, or between, foreclosures or even getting kicked out of their apartments because they don't know what the actual laws are, and they're being told and they just react because they're not educated. So I think I was just curious about that. If you have any, advocacy for that particular community where you do some of the pro bono work.
Absolutely. And I do. And I never know how it is that you're supposed to fit that into to these presentations, but I'm a board member of my local LGBT chamber here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the epicenter of everything relating to race relations and discussions here in the States. And so I've been doing a lot of work in regard to the advocacy work, even taking on a couple small businesses that got looted and put a task force together in regards to when I found out that they didn't have insurance coverage, and found out that when they went to try to get insurance for a couple of years prior to the George Floyd murder, that they were told that we don't insure you in this area. And so I got a task force together, even with representatives from the state, to really dig in and look into whether there are any legal violations that have been conducted by anybody in the insurance industry, mainly here in North Minneapolis, which is majority Black and brown community and Black and brown businesses, which has resulted in, there being substantial impact for them and their businesses and their families if they weren't able to get insurance to be able to rebuild. So that's just one example of some of the advocacy work that I do outside. I think Paul alluded to a little bit of that with the book, the LGBT history book that I wrote as well. but yeah, so
and
there's all
share the
kinds of
book next
areas and
time.
angles
Thank you.
there.
I'm so inspired, and I love it when people are giving back. Again, it's important to bring everyone else forward as you become successful in life and not leave other people behind. So thank you for that.
And Z, I'm just
No, no, thank
for our final judge to say, you know, you're as good a lawyer as you are modest, and you are also a great mentor to many young lawyers in the National Legal Industry Council at NGLCC. You have helped a lot of people learn how to speak law to corporate and help make jobs like Paul's a lot easier. So thank you for that. You are always giving of your time, especially for up and comers in the industry, and it's appreciated. You really helped us shape a better program.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Big
for
fan
that.
of NGLCC.
Paul Shea, any final thoughts here for Z?
Yeah, no, thanks, Z. This was really great. You know, I thought your pitch was really clear. I understood exactly what, you know, the services you provide and your business and how you, you know, provide value to your customers. I have two pieces of feedback for you,
Yes.
one on the reactive side and one on the proactive side. So on the reactive side of your business, I'd like to encourage you to show me the money. So if you can talk a little bit, throw in a vignette or two about, you know, how you have helped a client or clients, you know, get their fair pay or get their fair, you know, what they deserve. Obviously, there's a risk in doing that of coming off like as an ambulance chaser, and so you want to like be careful about how you like position the message, but you're not chasing ambulances. You are helping, you know, people get what they deserve, right? And so I think this is where you can talk about that quantitatively. That would even bring more power to your story. And on the proactive side, I just want to say, maybe you can talk a little bit more about like the sweet spot of like the types of businesses you think are, it's kind of similar to Paul's comment. Like I would imagine, I mean, I'm not as close to it myself, but would imagine a company the size and scale of BMS with like a giant law department internal and then 40 existing, you know, law firms that we work with, we probably have the kind of work that you do maybe pretty well covered already. So what's the sweet spot of the businesses you target for your services? I imagine it's maybe on the medium to smaller side, and maybe just kind of like, you know, talk about that a little more, like who can best benefit from what you're offering. But I think the business is awesome, and thank you for doing the work you're doing.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, our sweet spot is definitely the small and medium-sized businesses, ideally the ones that don't have an HR department or big enough to really have anybody in legal. So the positioning for the larger firms has been to focus on the investigation and the training piece, since they would already have larger firms that they would work with in regards to the litigation aspect. So I kind of throw the litigation part in there, but really try to focus on the proactive part, which is kind of marries HR with legal. But I'll make sure I clean that part up.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Z. Paul, thanks for those comments. Judges, thank you to all of you for your comments.
Thank you, judges. Thank you, judges.
Very well done. Again, Zaylor Stout and Associates. So proud to have you with us. Next time Z comes on, he'll talk about our gay history in 50 states, which is just absolutely phenomenal as well. So thank you. We are going to turn it over to our final presenter for today, Charles Jordy of Jordy Construction. Take it away, Charles.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is my first time at this, and it's really been very fascinating. All the presenters were great, and I instantly learned that I probably should have had some pictures to go along today. I'm a general contractor, CEO of Jordy Construction, and we're a 63-year-old commercial contractor based in Denver, Colorado. I normally don't put pictures in because we kind of live in a world of non-disclosure agreements with clients, but I guess I could have had some general ones to put in. At any rate, we are based in Denver. We've worked in 15 states around the United States so far, mostly central United States and the West. We are just completing our licensing in California, which has been a bit of a challenge, and we're going to move into that market. We perform a wide variety of construction services, new buildings, remodeling, build outs, additions, and infrastructure upgrades. We have kind of three major market segments, that being financial services, telecommunications, and the aerospace industry. And within all of those, particularly telecommunications and aerospace, we wind up getting involved with some very technical construction projects. So secured areas, compartmentalized areas, very intense HVAC and electrical requirements, particularly in telecom for some of the switch locations around the country. Additionally, we have a real strong background in restaurant and retail, and that the restaurant's kind of taken a hit. We had a few large projects crater with the start of COVID, but over the years, we've built many, many restaurants around the country, and we really enjoy that, the creative aspect of the hospitality business. We're about 60 employees strong, about 35 million a year, and we're very, very involved in our community here in Denver with LGBT community and with underprivileged individuals. Particularly, we work with a homeless youth population, both financially and employee participation. I think if we have a strong suit, I'd say it's that we are well equipped at pre-construction and estimating services, so we can assist our clients, design professionals, to really figure out a job before it starts in terms of budgeting, duration, regulatory issues that come up with building departments, health departments, all kinds of things, and constructability. So everyone can really have a good idea what's a project going to look like, cost, and finish up before you start shoveling. So that's about it. I kind of rushed through it here, but I'd open it up for any questions. Thank you.
Jonathan, I think you have something you might want to say here.
Well, just an acknowledgement for Charles to say, hey, friend, and thank you so much for doing this. And to acknowledge, similarly as Z, you have been instrumental help, not just in being a role model with your own company, but you have helped mentor others. You've helped us grow from the very first sketch on a napkin about having a construction council at NGLCC. You helped us advise how to make that work, and hopefully it's worked for you. I hear you've recently had some very big wins in the financial services space. So congratulations to you. And also, a big thanks for becoming one of our NGLCC Platinum Circle corporate partners. You've taken a big leap and become a real role model for other scalable companies to say, you're not just a part of it, you're making a better ecosystem. So thanks for all of that. And I know the judges will love to offer some feedback and hopefully get you building the next BMS headquarters somewhere.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Jonathan. Charles, we're so proud to have you in the NGLCC family, and so glad to have had you go through the Accelerate program earlier this year, and really just be a part of the organization from every level. So thank you for that. Paul Ashley, let's start with you for some judging feedback here.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for that pitch. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you in person, but I can't wait until that happens. So great, especially you don't hear a lot of LGBT suppliers in this space. So, and especially as large and as successful as you are. So just commend and kudos. So a couple of things when I put on my BMS hat, I wondered two things. One, from the pre-construction and estimating, have you marketed broader than just kind of your sweet spot of financial service, telecommunication, or aerospace? Because no matter what the requirements are, the estimating of that, is something that I know kind of goes on either from the people in our office, our facilities team, or they kind of use their teams. So that's something I could see you kind of introducing you to the right people at BMS. So, let's think about that. And then the other kind of question is, and Sabrina talked about, and Jonathan Lovitz has had the pleasure of being in our brand new building that was opened in, I think, 2018 in Princeton Pike Road in New Jersey. Beautiful glass building. And, with the acquisition of Celgene, we've hired, we're still busting at the seams. But given COVID, and given the ability of folks to surprisingly be effective at home, we've now come up with we're not going to go all virtual, but the CEO has come out and said, with the, depending on your team, you can work 50% at home. So that's really going to change depending on how we look at our office space. That's really going to change that. So, and I don't know if that's going to mean we're not going to need to build like they were thinking. I know we're looking at renting a couple of things. Are you guys prepared, especially when you come to office space? Not really lab, because that's going to continue, but I don't know how much of a business is office space. And then how are you thinking about pivoting? Because office space is going to look very differently in the future.
Very interesting. And yes, office space has probably been the weakest segment of our work this year after March 15th or so. I agree with you 100%. I believe that the majority of companies, particularly larger, are going to keep a certain percentage of office and work in a different way. We have done already some retrofitting in some offices here to accommodate more spacing, separating of areas, more cleanliness and safety. So that's kind of remedial work, you might say. I think in terms of pivoting, I feel fortunate that we have had some success and ability in certain areas that aren't just office, that are more production driven. I don't know if that answers the question, but
yes.
I think we certainly, just give you an example, in the aerospace industry, it's on a roll. I haven't seen it this busy for 20 years. So I know it's odd, but there are segments moving forward.
Great. Thank you. That's great.
Thanks for that, Paul. All right, Paul Shea, any feedback here?
Yeah, no, this is great. I want to echo, what Paul said. It's great to see an LGBT owned business in this space, because it's not one that you hear much about. So kudos to you. I was one, and your pitch was great. I really, I fully understand the business, and no, you did a great job with that too. I was thinking as you were describing it, I wonder if there is a possibility for you guys to expand and grow, marrying two of the passions and capabilities you already have. One, your highly technical expertise in certain markets, but also with all the great work that you're doing, giving back to the community, with your work with the homeless youth. I wonder if there's a way for you guys to expand more into like institutional housing or institutional type, or government type opportunities that maybe you haven't, I don't know if you've considered previously, but I wonder if there's a way to leverage those together.
Boy, that's a great idea. We've never really gone into the housing market whenever there's an opportunity, particularly around here, to assist nonprofits, especially kind of like I've described. We'll do anything in the world to get the job and do the job, most of it for a reduced or no fee, because we feel it's really important and the team really enjoys it. And I'd love nothing more than to market and work on worthy nonprofits around the country. That would be a dream come true.
Yeah, it could be a great opportunity for you guys. I mean, you're already killing it. If I did my math right, 35 million and 65 employees, you're making a lot of money per employee. So that's great. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Paul. Lotus, final thoughts of the final round.
Charles, that was such a great job. As someone who has zero understanding of the construction industry, I was sitting there saying I have zero feedback for you, but I did have a few questions because I thought it was so interesting. Because as you started to speak, I felt like you were like Zaylor. You were being modest, and then as you spoke, I'm like, wait a minute, he's doing more and more, and he's really successful. And now he has this homeless youth initiative. And I was curious about how you'd handle COVID, but you seem to have pivoted with no issues. So my two questions are, I didn't even know that construction was more than just building things. And when you mentioned financial telecommunications and aerospace, I was really curious. Well, what is he doing in that area? How does construction fit in there? Is he building the buildings in those industries? So I was just curious, like, how does that fit for someone like me who doesn't understand construction, and I'm going to go to the default, which is, oh, it's office buildings or homes. And then my second question was, oh, what is he doing with the homeless youth? Is he providing them on the job training? Are they becoming certified to actually have a career in that field if they desire as they go through your program? I was just interested about that. So that's really all I have to say, but you are clearly doing a great job. So don't take any advice from me on construction.
No, thank you very much. And I do appreciate everyone's advice. It's interesting you mentioned that. And I have a meeting with the executive director of Urban Peak here in Denver to discuss that very topic of employing and helping some of the homeless kids get started. Construction's a great field for people that don't have a necessarily formal education to really develop a good career. So thank you. And that is on my radar. And I'm not sure I understood your first question, but my only point in with the kind of the specialized nature of construction is these businesses that we're working for, aerospace, telecom, et cetera, the kind of work we're doing is what I guess I'd call mission critical for their operation. So in other words, if we're working on a telecommunication switch in Seattle, nothing can go wrong. If something goes wrong, half the city of Seattle's internet could be down. So it's a responsibility, but that's kind of a space we like to work in. I don't know if that addresses it.
Thank you so much, Charles. I'm always astounded by the amazing work of Geordie Construction. Today is definitely no exception to that. And I love just thinking about all of the amazing businesses that we've heard from today, and each and every one of you are giving back to your community and other communities in really powerful and impactful ways. So just a big thank you there. And Charles, thanks for stepping in at the 11th hour, as did Z. We had some contestants who had to pull out due to health challenges and other things, and they were ready and willing to save the day without presentation, just come in and speak to the merits of their companies. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Judges, I would love just some final thoughts here as we come to a close on the pitch portion of the program, and then we get to start sipping and chatting. But before I let you sip, I want to hear, any final sentiments that you have in just thinking about today's program as a whole. And Paul, it's your birthday, so we're going to start with you.
I was gonna say it's my birthday, so I kind of already been sipping a little bit, but I made sure my camera wasn't on for that. I figured just a little bit. I figured I'm due. But no, I wouldn't have wanted to spend 2 hours of my birthday in any other way than in support of NGLCC and in support of some great businesses. I hadn't done this. I've sat in on a couple of them over the months, and talk about a way to pivot. I want to give kudos to Team NGLCC, because this was kind of like an idea that really just kind of took off and has become a way that we've been able to establish community during these times. So kudos to Justin Chance and the whole team. So really, this was, entrepreneurs out there, you guys have a spirit that I just will never have. I'm always envious of people who can be entrepreneurs. So I just, hats off to you. Keep doing what you're doing, because you guys are really rocking it out. And just, utilize people like me, utilize Team NGLCC, because my greatest joy in my job is to make people like you successful. Like I said, I don't have an entrepreneurial bone in my body, but where I get my energy is by making you guys successful. So I just want to thank you.
And you do it very well, Paul. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for being part of this program. And of course, to BMS for your support, not just of Sip and Pitch, but in so many ways. And we're going to get to that in a few minutes. It's okay that you started sipping, Paul, as long as it was Brown Estate. We'll give you a pass on that. So yes. Always. Lotus, any thoughts here as you wrap out your first NGLCC event?
Let me tell you, this entire organization has given me life. I never heard of it until I got the email from Paul, and I'm so fascinated. Even with all the presenters, there's so much diversity and innovation, and even the ability to transform some of the ways that business is conducted, or even ventured into this new area. Again, I'm going to get one of those bags one way or the other, but I love hearing all these stories. And I'm with Paul on the entrepreneurship. I stand all of you because I am lazy. I need a paycheck. I need regular set hours. And I need to know that the success of this company doesn't bear on my back. So, the fact that you're built of that fiber speaks volumes, because that is the success of America, right? And I know this administration doesn't recognize it, but I very much do know that America is what it is because of all the entrepreneurs, and that's where all the dollars are coming from. So anything that we can do to support that and encourage the success of all of you, and even helping others, is something that I definitely stand by. So I bow down to all of you and thank you for doing the hard work that I am too lazy to do, but I will definitely take advantage of all the products that you have to offer.
I love that, Lotus. Thank you. I'm right there with you. And Paul, I think business owners are some of the most humble, as we've seen today, and courageous people out there, to just be able to take an idea or a sentiment and believe that you can make change with it. I'm with you. I need that 9 to 5. I love being here to support business owners. But I come from a family of business owners. Both my parents were business owners. My grandfather was a business owner. My brother's a business owner. My partner is a business owner. I'm like, how did this skip me? I don't know, but hopefully I'm providing some value along the way. But I'm right there with you, Lotus. All right, Paul, our BRG champion, any thoughts here to close out from the judging perspective?
Well, I just want to say thank you first, to you all at NGLCC for creating this great program. Which is a really great opportunity, not only, for us as one of the, sponsors, but also for the entrepreneurs that we saw here today. And I want to say thank you to the entrepreneurs, because it takes guts not only to run your own business, as you guys just said, but to get up in front of a bunch of strangers and have them give you unsolicited, or I guess solicited, but, feedback from all different directions. I learned a lot from all of you. So thank you for your taking the time to be with us today, and for all the great work you're doing out there.
Thank you so much, Paul. And thank you to each and every one of you, our 2 Pauls and Lotus, for being incredible judges today on behalf of BMS. I know that you did the BMS family proud, so we're very, very glad to have you here with us. So don't go anywhere. The sipping really does begin. I'm going to go pour a glass of wine. We're going to be back here in about 3 or 4 minutes to start community and conversation. This is where we can take some time to reflect as a group, share some space, talk about some amazing things ahead, including NBIC Unity Week. Jonathan will again pop that into the chat. So if you haven't registered for NBIC Unity Week next week, please be sure you do so. You're not going to want to miss out on the incredible programming that we have ahead. So with that, Paul's already got his drink poured. Go pour your drink or whatever your beverage of choice is. Don't go anywhere. We are going to be right back for community and conversation. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had a nice little break there. We're able to get your drinks ready. Thank you again for joining us today for Sip and Pitch Fridays, presented by Bristol Myers Squibb, our amazing partners. We just got done with 2 incredible sessions, and we are going to jump in to some community and conversation. So you were with us before, so you probably heard us say that NBIC Unity Week is just around the corner. It's hard to believe. We've been hard at work planning this in conjunction with our friends at the Women's Business Enterprise National Council and across our NBIC partners. And next week is Unity Week. So Jonathan already dropped the registration here in the chat, but we want to take this time to really reflect on what unity means and to take this space. I think we learned from Russ that we are here and we are grateful in our earlier session. So now we're going to take this time to reflect as a group and just have a little conversation on unity as a theme. So the first sort of discussion we're going to have here is what is a meaningful collaboration in your life and why? So Jonathan, if you want to put us all into Brady Bunch style conversation, there we go. Love it. And if you feel
you can unmute yourselves as we want to chat as a now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would just love to open it up. I have done so much talking today, but I would love to just open it up and feel free to unmute yourself. What is a meaningful collaboration in your life? Oh, Lucas, I love it. You've changed perspectives. We're in a different part of your house now. I'm loving it even more than the last. This is great. But who wants to start? What is a meaningful collaboration in your life when you think about unity? Don't be shy.
All right. Hey, I'll start. Can you hear me?
Yes, go for it, Paul.
Yeah. So what unity means to me is, and what I love about the whole concept of NBIC is really bringing every aspect to a party and it being appreciated. Whether that aspect is, individual silos, like the different organizations of NBIC, or if it's the intersections of those silos, people like me. So going into spaces where I get supported as a gay Black man, that's when I feel unified and I feel unity with whatever community that is.
I love that, Paul. Thank you. I definitely have to agree. I think when I just think about where we would all be not right now, but where we would have been in May if we had held the Best of the Best awards in person this year and we weren't in this crazy COVID environment, I just think about how I look around that ballroom every year and I'm just so inspired and happy to see all of the faces new and unfamiliar around the ballroom when we come together to really celebrate the amazing work of all of our respective organizations and the things we can accomplish together. So I love that. I love that. Who else has something to share? Take it away.
I'll add one, maybe.
Yeah, go for it, other Paul.
Other Paul. So, with our Pride Alliance organization here at BMS this year, one of the things we started was an ally committee, and it's led by allies, and its mission is to have allies, basically come up with ways that they can be better allies to the LGBTQ community within the company. And they have taken it upon themselves to create training and create stickers and do all this stuff in support of us. And it's just been so heartwarming and gratifying to see them just kind of run with it and take off with it. they're doing it not because it's like they need more work to do. They're doing it because it's like this is the right thing to do. Some of them have LGBTQ people in their lives, but some of them do not. They just think, I believe in fairness, I believe in equality, and I'm doing this for that reason. And I'm just so grateful, speaking of gratitude that we talked about earlier today, I'm just so grateful for them and their willingness and active engagement with us. And we've benefited so much from that. So that's one that I'm really, that means a lot to me.
Beautiful, Paul. Thank you so much.
Let me share something. So I want to thank Paul Squared. Both of you are fabulous. I haven't met you, Paul Shea, in this diverse time, but I'm loving the story. And so my first exposure to the LGBTQ community was back in middle school when I stumbled across James Baldwin, Go Tell It on the Mountain. And I was so moved. And at the time, remember, I was in the 6th grade. I didn't know what it meant, but all I knew was I loved him. And I started reading up on him. And then I discovered this whole community that, in the Black community, it's treated in a way where, you're an oppressed group just as Black people are, but they're suffering even more, right? And I just remember feeling like, how can an oppressed group oppress someone else? So that was when I decided, that I think misery belongs equally to everyone. And why would I care about your orientation? And to me, it's a silly thing. And when I look at the results of this election, where everyone thought the white, straight, suburban mom was going to save us, they didn't. It was all of you. It was all of us. And it was all this diverse community that saved the nation from this current administration, not the people who are still thinking in these singular binary ways about what's right and wrong. And, there's so much hope for me. And I go back to knowing that things are going to change, because I said something to my son and even my daughter. We're talking about it. And my ex, as he's part of these fraternities, he's all about the brotherhood. And yet at the same time, I'll hear him say really horrible things about non-straight people. And we were having a conversation, and both of my kids looked at him and they said, I don't see what the problem is. How could you not understand what non-binary is? And my son broke it down. Boom, 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 boom. What's the difficulty? He goes, if you can't understand that, then how can you understand anything and be a lawyer? So I questioned your argument and that it was weak. And I thought, here's this 17-year-old kid. And when he confronted him and told him that, and then, of course, my daughter went and followed up and said, yeah, Daddy, you're supposed to include everyone. Like, who cares what someone's orientation is? And why are you even talking about it? That's just silly. That gives me hope. And I'm glad that they're leaning more towards my way than his. I support this community, but I support everyone who's trying to drive towards a better, more inclusive community world, because I'm more focused on a broader level and the national level. And anytime I can be a part of it, I want to. And to tell you the truth, the best parties I've ever been to are at gay clubs, and you can't tell me I won't be in Fort Lauderdale doing that. I love bubble parties. I love them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No,
didn't I make a good hire?
Yes. Paul, we approve. You better watch out for your board seat, Paul. I'm telling you right now.
Right?
Can I was gonna say, I'll take the earrings off for that. Yeah, we'll fight.
Can I piggyback off what Lotus said?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Go for it, Z.
I love that you brought up James Baldwin, because one of the things that has come out with me writing my LGBT history book and talking about this, in different around different circles, has been that if you're a Black kid, you don't learn Black history in school. You learn Black history at home from your family, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, if you're an LGBT kid, how many queer kids are brought up in queer homes? Not many. So it's like, where is it that you're able to learn your history? But I remember being a poet when I was younger and stumbling upon James Baldwin and Courtney Cullen, and reading their stories and being like, oh, well, they're like me. right? And had I not been able to find that, it may have been different, but I was able to early on be able to find them and find inspiration in regards to their stories, and that they were able to struggle at their time and be successful, and know that I would have the ability to be able to do that too. So I just wanted to give you kudos in regard to that James Baldwin story there, because I had the same one. A quick thing in regards to the question at hand, meaningful collaborations in life. I have a new one, and it actually came about because of Bristol Myers Squibb. Thank you, folks. Last year at the book signing at the NMSDC conference, I ended up meeting a representative from Barilla Pasta. And so there's lots of folks within our community that have a whole lot to say about this organization. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh my God, we need to connect. We need to talk, because, you know, I'm on the board for my chamber here. And I wanted to be able to show that, you know, have the important dialogue and discussion in regards to what does it mean for a company and an organization to atone for either members in their senior leadership team or changing and coming around as and becoming an ally. And, you know, how long are we going to hold them accountable for past deeds and acts? Because we need more allies, and we're only going to be successful as we acquire more allies. And so that's a new collaboration that I have. I was able to speak at their LGBT History Month event, and getting the story out in regards to all these other things that they're doing besides this one comment from somebody in senior ownership of the company. And so that's been a meaningful collaboration I'll continue to be working with moving forward in regard to that, and having those hard discussions within the LGBT community about what it means for an organization to be able to atone for their past.
Z, that's such a great point. We use that example a lot because there are a lot of people who screw up, don't own it, and then fix it by slapping a rainbow on something and say, we've done good, as opposed to really fixing from the inside. I appreciate you bringing up that example, because I wanted to share a collaborative example that I know we at NGLCC are really proud of, especially with our work through the National Business Inclusion Consortium and bringing all of the diverse communities to the table, especially, you know, as Lotus, as you said, if they're coming for us on a Monday, they're coming for you on Wednesday, and we're a lot stronger if we link up together between now and then. And I point especially a lot of reporters that ask us about sort of this growing business case for equality to a really beautiful statement by the NAACP on the reintroduction of the Equality Act, which we know is to help bring all those 50 state policies together into one sort of unified federal protection for the community. And it was in reference to when it was introduced 10 years ago, there were maybe 20 corporations and like a dozen nonprofits that said we sign on to support this, and a handful, tiny handful of members of Congress that were behind it. Cut to this year, or 2 years ago, when it was reintroduced, passed in the House nearly unanimously, with 200 and something nonprofit partners, 400 plus corporate partners, a lot of them in the NGLCC family, and then organizations like the NAACP coming out front and center saying, this is our fight too, and we have to make up for the time that we ignored that it was our fight too. So I'm just so grateful you brought that up, because I refer to that statement a lot because I thought it was so beautifully written and acknowledges that we've got so much growth to do in speaking for one another and being allies for one another.
I love that, Jonathan. You know, Lotus, when you were talking earlier and you mentioned how people thought that it was going to be cis white women that carried this election through, and it absolutely has not. I mean, since we've been on this call, Georgia was officially called Democratic, which is freaking historic. Okay, it's amazing. And no matter what your political views are, I apologize. We endorsed Joe Biden at NGLCC. I think we made the absolute right choice by endorsing the Biden-Harris ticket. And I posted something on my social media, and we can just jump off of unity. This is all unity, right? But I posted something on my social media that basically said, you know, we shouldn't be sitting here surprised, or we should be sitting here surprised, but not really that shocked that all of these white women and these white people that were condoning racism this summer, and they're treating anti-racism work as a trend, that all of these people have the majority of them have gone and voted for Trump. And that doesn't, and people are saying, oh, well, that doesn't make them necessarily racist. And I'm like, well, it does. And it also means, to me, that racism is not a deal breaker for them, right? And that LGBT equality is not a deal breaker for them. And at this point, you're more concerned with what Biden's potential tax plan, which would need to be approved by the Senate anyway to take effect, is than people's ability to just live their lives is. And so I just wanted to call that out, Lotus, because I think it was such a powerful thing that you said, and I didn't want it to go unnoticed. It's the people in these spaces that are the ones that are making change. And my partner and I left New York City when the pandemic hit in March, and we have been in a Gulf Coast town of Florida. I grew up in Orlando. We have been south of Sarasota in a town that is 99.9% Caucasian by population. And we have had this luxury. At first, I lived in DC. He's lived in New York for 10 years, and LA as well. We've had this luxury in our lives to be out wherever we go in our lives, for him to say that he's a trans man, for me to say that I'm a queer woman, and for me to not feel like the most brown person in a room whenever I walk into a space. And for the last 8 months, we've lived this sort of closeted life. And we decided, okay, we need to start within safe measures, like go out to eat in a very safe, open area. And so last night we decided to go to dinner, and our server, typical cis looking white dude, kind of rednecky looking. He's self-proclaimed rednecky looking, according to the conversation we had last night. And we start talking, and slowly throughout the course of the night, my partner, which is something we have not mentioned anywhere to anyone since we've been here, he's like, yeah, and we both do LGBTQ advocacy. And the server says, oh my God, my son is trans, and immediately bursts into tears. And that was the first time that we had felt seen in this community in 8 months. And it was the first time he had clearly felt seen by people, being the parent of a trans kid in this super conservative place. Come to find out that his ex-wife and son just moved to Costa Rica 2 days ago because they can't get the right kind of healthcare to support their kid here in the United States, which is supposed to be the greatest and most free country of all. But this 11-year-old is bullied at school, and when he starts hitting puberty, despite being on hormone blockers, he's not going to be able to get the treatment that he needs to live a safe life in this country. And so I think it goes to show that we always want to point our fingers outside. I'm going to jump off of this soapbox in a second, but we always want to point our fingers outside of our borders and say, look at all of the problems that are out there, but we don't want to take a second to look inside. And I think, Lotus, what you have done in raising your kids is so powerful, because I think it's that generation, these Gen Zers, that are really going to change things for us, and that are going to allow us to be, the people that we are, and not feel like we are criminals for living our lives and being who we truly are, and things that we can't change about ourselves. So I want to say thank you for bringing that all up, and I'm officially done talking. Who wants to go next?
And also, no pressure. Feel free to bring up other topics that as the spirit moves you. It's cocktails and conversation for a reason.
Exactly.
So I just want to say thank you to Sabrina for bringing that up. That's such a compelling and interesting story. Wow. I just want to bring up, just going back to unity, I think that, and it's been sort of underlying.
To introduce yourself, Jason. I don't think everyone knows who you are.
Hi, everybody. Jason with NGLCC Corporate Relations. The other Jason at NGLCC that's less famous than Jason Ray, who works with the DNC. The other Jason. However, I just want to say sometimes I think unity, and Sabrina, I'm inspired by Sabrina. Sometimes we find unity in the least expected places from a rednecky waiter. And I think that sometimes we need to be more open-minded. I'm live in DC, but I have a little farmhouse in Sperryville, Virginia, which is 70 miles west. Trump won it by, I want to say, 13 points. And so a lot of our neighbors, we look at them and we think they don't support me and my partner. But then when you get to know them, they say, oh, well, I have a gay son. So our neighbor has all the trappings of he asked me what my wife did, and I was worried. We found out he has a gay son and couldn't be more supportive of us. So I just think that sometimes we find unity in the most unexpected places, and we should embrace it and really try to welcome it.
I love that, Jason. Thank you so much. And you can find it in the boondocks of Virginia, or on the Gulf Coast of Florida in Sarasota County. You can be anywhere. So I love that. Brian?
a real quick story building on that, Jason. My ex and I had a weekend home up in the Catskills. And one Saturday, we're sitting at this little bar having burgers and beer. And this whole crew of bikers came in and sort of wrapped themselves around us. And they were talking to one another. And one of them said, "You know that Steve that rides with us sometimes, you think he's gay?" And the other one said, or one of the other ones said, "You know what? I don't care." He said, "They keep moving into my neighborhood and my property value keeps going up."
Love that, Brian.
Right? That's all that matters. I love it. I love it.
I've heard that one before.
Listen, all I know is gay men help me get a snatched cat eye. They help me with my clothes. I need to see my hairdresser because my hair is so flat. I need to see him, but he does a great job with my, listen, I'm all in. And you know, I think it was Paul who may have spoke to it. You know, a lot of companies do. They like to do this illusion of inclusion where they'll make a donation or they'll slap a white woman on the board and then say, we're diverse. And we do have to start holding them accountable. I remember, you know, my kids wanted to go to Chick-fil-A. I'm like, yeah, I want to go too, but let me tell you why we can't go. Because am I going to break them? No. I'm one decision, you know, I'm one family, but here's why we can't go, because they stand for this, this, and this, which is everything that we don't support. And we have to draw certain lines with what we want to do. And there's other places to go. So they don't go there, because I think that we have to learn how to live our values and live out loud. And Sabrina, thank you for sharing that story, because to me, people are people. And like I said, the more diverse my crowd is, the more fun I have. I find that straight people can be a little boring because they live out these stereotypes. And, you know, before I moved down here, I live outside of Philly. I was in Connecticut for a while. So there's a big case coming out about the whole, can transgender students run? Can they run on the females track team? And I'm like, yes, because they're girls. They're high school student girls. What is the problem? And, you know, there's people out there and they've drawn specific lines, because I still have family in Connecticut, and I hear them arguing about saying, well, you have a daughter, how would you feel? And they don't prove this, this, and that. And I said, well, I don't really prove that I'm a woman. You don't know if I'm biologically a female. You just go by that because I say it, and then you just trust the words that are coming out of my mouth. I don't have to prove that. I'm not sure why anyone has to prove anything. And I hate that they try to hold groups of individuals to different standards, you know. And again, you know, as a Black person, oh, well, you have to prove your education just to vote, count the jelly beans in a jar. I'm like, what? You know, when you read about, you know, history and the ways that straight white people have been innovative with oppression, no one is questioning this or stopping them. And I'm saying, no, call them out on it. Don't let them tell you, I'm sorry. There's no excuses. It's 2020. There's no way you can be ignorant of these statements and people's ability to live. What does their choice or the way they live their life have to do with you on a singular, but directly? What does it do? Absolutely nothing. You're just hating to hate. So I feel so passionately about it, but my life is diverse. I roll with I have a girlfriend that she calls herself trisexual because she says, I will try anything. And I'm like, I am so down with you. I love, and I think I said this because I actually thought it was a term, but they will check me on my ignorance, but I love them all. I have, you know, they will roll up with, you know, I know people of all different genders, just everything. I say they're all tri people. And I love them, and they've made my life richer. And we are ride or die. So I love my tribe, and I'll stand by them to the end. So I love this community. Thank you for sharing all your stories. I love it, and continue to just show me new ways to support.
Lotus is the Ally on the Block Award. So, you know, we're gonna all
I know, right?
To the newbie on the team. That was outstanding.
Like, I love Lotus. Paul, your board seat is gone.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. I love you so much, Lotus. I can't wait till we can finally meet in person.
Yeah.
Only if there's bubbles.
Yeah.
There
I need
will
a
be a
dance.
lot of
And
bubbles.
listen, I'll never forget the first gay club I went to in Fort Lauderdale. There was bubbles up to my chest. I loved it. I don't
Was
even
it the foam
remember
party?
the night.
When there's an
The best
Foam
night in
party?
Fort Lauderdale.
For a reason.
Yeah, when there's an NGLCC event, Bubbles and Deborah Cox just automatically
Oh.
appear.
Exactly. That's all I
He's
want.
just summoned.
So anyway, I want to say one thing and then I have to run. So this has been amazing. But when you talk about unity, sometimes, organizations have to give you the psychological safety, and sometimes you have to take a chance. And Lotus, and I hadn't heard the story about your ex-husband, but one of the things that scared me for years, because I was in a fraternity, and when I joined the fraternity in college, I wasn't out. I actually married a sorority girl, and then when I came out at the age of 30, one of my biggest fears were, what would they say and what would they do, and especially among the Black community, because it's a well-known Black fraternity, the rival fraternity of her ex-husbands. And what I found is, and probably because I'm old, I turned 51 today, I do tell my age, I don't care. And when I came and said, this is who I am, no one in this Black fraternity, I've been active for the past few years. I'm now the president of the local Trenton chapter, but they've given me that space and they really don't care. And, and I hope to reverse some of those stereotypes. And the other two things, and, once again, is being out. I hate it when people say, you talk about reversing stereotypes, oh, but you don't seem gay. And I said, well, what does it even mean? What does that even mean? Just because I'm not, some days I'm more feminine than others. So it just depends on the day. Depends on, I can, yes, clean with the best of them, but that's just not what I do day to day. But not that there's anything wrong with that. So I challenge that. And then the other thing that I loved about the conversation, that the unfortunate events of George Floyd, it lets you tell your stories. And I remember I was in, as Chief Procurement Officer, a big fan and sponsor of NGLCC Fair, and I was in her senior staff meeting. And, they gave me and Rondu as Black men space to just say how we were feeling and tell our stories. And one of the things I said, and it shocked them, is I said, just FYI, I know you guys say this a lot, and you say it about your kids, but I'm offended when you say I don't see color. Because I need you to see me, and I need you to see every aspect of me. And if you're connected with me on social media, Facebook, I say that I'm unapologetically Black, I'm unapologetically gay, I'm even unapologetically Christian, which a lot of times they don't match together, but that's who I am. And then, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the intersection. I'm gonna give a plug to my dear friend, Ashley. She's coming out with a book, I think in a few weeks, Empowering Differences, Ashley Brundage. And I was blessed to contribute a couple paragraphs to the book. And, one of the things I said is I had to grow from, a lot of times I felt too Black to be in gay spaces and too gay to be in Black spaces. But by sharing my story, I now feel a lot more comfortable. And that's what unity really means to me. And that's what I love about NBIC, to be able to go to NMSDC and have an intersectionality event where, Sabrina, you and I are going to kind of kick off the communities of color thing.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Week.
Yep.
So plug for that. But I appreciate my relationship with the NGLCC because it gives me a platform and a banner to reinforce the intersectionality, which a lot of times, sometimes gets lost.
Thank you so much for that, Paul. And I am so excited. What Paul just said about, he couldn't show up into gay spaces with his Blackness and couldn't show up into Black spaces with his gayness is exactly why we launched the Communities of Color Initiative last year. Paul actually helped us do that. And that's exactly why we're having our conversation on Wednesday at the Communities of Color and Allies networking reception, because I think so frequently, and it's like a broken record, this idea of intersectionality, our identities are not isolated and they interplay with one another and determine our privilege and how we operate in this world. They determine our experiences. And I think we have such an awesome opportunity next week in front of this audience of 1,500 plus, actually over 1,600 people now, to talk about this very issue. So Paul, I just want to thank you for being so forthcoming always and just leading with your story and your journey. Your
And
voice
happy
is
birthday,
never
Paul.
lost. Yes,
Thank
happy
you, everybody.
Happy birthday, Paul.
So we will
And
see you
heart to you.
all next week at Unity Week. So thanks,
Yes.
everybody. Love you
Thank you,
all.
Paul. Have a great night.
Will do.
I know I got to get ready to hop off. I'm going to the same event Paul is doing, but I'm so glad he shared that, because I think I've been accused of being a lesbian since I was in high school. And I'm not sure why. I don't know. I know I'm a little manly. No, okay, not a little, a lot.
You're a strong woman.
It's very strange. I never understood. I thought I was just being me, but I've had that question on a regular basis. Are you a lesbian? And I look and say, I don't understand. Do I love women? Of course I do. I love people. So I understand what he's saying, because in the Black community, it's really, really tough, because it's such an oppressed group. And then to be outside of what they believe should be a standard way of living, people can be very harsh and beaten. And, I always go back to James Baldwin. He's one of my favorite authors. I will read him inside and out, and then of course followed by Maya Angelou. And I've just discovered the humanity in just loving people for them. I really don't care what your orientation is. I don't care what your race is. My thing is, who are you inside? And if they want to believe I'm a lesbian, that's okay, because I guess that'll parse out all those rude ass men, right? Who want to use and abuse me. So listen, listen, call me queer then. I don't care. I mean, it's never happened, but I'm not saying it won't. I've just never met anybody down that road. I just love people. So I really appreciate being a part of this event. And I'm really looking forward to future events. And I can't wait till we're together in person. And Jason, I just want to say one last thing, because I have to get ready to go so I can get to this same event. It's getting darker and darker where you're at. I don't know if there's some mood lighting going on, or a party you're trying to keep secret. You got a special thing going on over there.
That is so funny. Lotus, thank you so much for being here and just sharing with us. And I can't wait to have you with us at other events, and for being here as long as you did before you have to go to another program. So just thank you. And to everybody here on the line, I want to just open it up for any final thoughts here in the last few minutes before we close out today's program. Don't be shy.
Hey there, it's Jonathan Harmath. I've been on mute the whole time. I just like to listen to this. I'm part of Pistol Bar Swim, working on Ron Dew's team for supply diversity issues. And I just want to thank you all for sharing. I know it's hard to share, but I don't think people understand unless you do share, which is very unfortunate, because it's not your responsibility to kind of guide people, but it kind of has. You're put in that position anyway because of the situations that people have gone through. So thank you for sharing. I just wanted to let y'all know that.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I've seen you there on the participants list this whole time. So thank you for being here and listening in and participating in today's program. We really appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nirvana. I'm also from BMS. Just to piggyback off of what Jonathan said, your passion in all of your pitches was so inspiring and so amazing. I can only imagine how hard being an entrepreneur is, let alone an LGBTQ entrepreneur, and the challenges that it comes with. So I am completely inspired by you all of your backgrounds and sharing all of your stories. Thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nirvani. It's been a really long time since I've seen you, so I'm so glad you're here on the event today, and just really appreciate you sharing.
This is always like coming home to family. Every NGLCC event. It's just so welcoming and safe. So thank you all.
A family reunion.
I love it. Ugh. I think that's the perfect. Oh, Sean, sorry, go ahead. Sean was going to say something.
I was just gonna say I've been listening to everybody, and it warms my heart to hear, you know, all the different what we've experienced in our life and bringing it forefront. Just real quick for me, you know, after all the stuff that happened earlier this year with the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, and it seemed at some point that people were finally getting the message that, you know, hey, people of color have experienced, it's been harder for us. And in my mind, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And then Tuesday before last happened, and I saw how close that race was for that person almost won again. So it was like, wow, I guess people don't get it. But just to hear everybody's stories today and stuff, it's encouraging. Yes, looks like Biden is in, but we have a lot of work to do. So keep those stories out there and continue to, you know, show your true selves to everybody so that people can learn that just because we may not sleep with the same people that they do, so to speak, that we're still the human beings and that we have a voice as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And I think that is literally the most perfect note to end this on. Just a big thank you to each and every one of you for being here. Again, to our judges, phenomenal feedback. And thank you for your time. Our presenters, you all did a phenomenal job. Lucas, I'll hit you up when I do eventually get married. We'll make sure that we get you on that. But just thank you so much to everybody. This has just been a really heartwarming and uplifting way to end this week for me and to go ahead into Unity Week next week. So we're really excited to see all of you there. Thank you to BMS for all of your support of NGLCC and of this program. And of course, for being a presenting partner next week of Unity Week. Thank you to each and every one of you. If you ever need us, education@nglcc.org. We are here to support. So with that, have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Great job, Sabs.